Hey there. In today's video, I am discussing or showing you, or I'm going to talk about all the different ephemera that was just, I had so much. And so I'm purging it. I'm going through and picking out stuff that so it fits into the actual drawers that it's meant for. And I have quite a few drawers that are dedicated to it. So I had some random pieces and I pulled those out, and I have been putting gesso on them because I'm going to try to use those in projects. Because of this shiny surface, they need something that will enable them to have the paint or even collage adhere to them. So as I was doing that, I got to thinking, oh my gosh, I should show you guys what I have and these weird papers and things that I have found, and cards, and anyway, it's a lot of miscellaneous stuff. Not a lot, but just some, because some I've actually already gotten rid of. But here's what I'm discovering is I have bins of things that are not used, that I do not even open the drawer. So to me, at a certain point, some of that has to go, and I'm trying to make some good decisions now so that I actually am using, or I know where to access certain materials and supplies. And honestly, if I'm not using it, it probably is better off going into somebody else's hands, even though they probably, now listen, a lot of the stuff I collect, most people would not collect. And they think, if you're anything like me, you have old papers or old books or old things that most people would not acquire through the years. But I like all that kind of stuff, and I never know what I'm going to use it for. But the never knowing is great, and of course you want to have little collections of things, but when it gets to be too much, then I think it's time to go through and purge, and that's kind of what I did. And then I'm showing you how I'm applying, and you probably don't need to watch that part, but after I talk and show you some of the supplies, then I'm just showing you how I'm applying the gesso, both white and clear. Now there is also black, which I could use, and I think there's a gray gesso, and in fact, I think you can mix paint with your gesso if you want it to be colored. I just tend to use either clear or white for the most part, or black occasionally. So anyway, I would just encourage you, if you have drawers full of stuff that you don't even know what's in there, that you should go through them. Just take one drawer at a time. I'm kind of doing a massive overhaul, and I'm really trying to put things in reach that I use and move the things that I'm not using. So it's a whole thing, and I could go on and on about organization and all of that, because I tend to put things thinking I'm going to use them, but I actually don't. So what is it that I'm actually reaching for? So it started with these bins of ephemera, and it's gonna be like a tidal wave going through here. And hopefully each time I do it, it becomes more and more real to what I'm using. And so that's what I would encourage you to do. If you're not using things, maybe chuck those away and put out the things that you actually are reaching for, and the things that you're drawn to, and the things that you really enjoy, and put them in containers that you really like. And I think I've mentioned this before. Most of my containers came from the thrift store, and I just love having unique containers, and I'm going off on a tangent. So anyway, let's stop with the chit chat, and I'm going to show you the ephemera and how I apply the gesso. And it's something to think about this summer if you're not overly motivated to make art, but you need to do a little bit of tidying up. So something to think about. All right. Wow. Whew. Let's get started. Before I show you the stash of ephemera type things that I have here, I thought I would show you what prompted this whole video. Was I started cleaning out, like I mentioned earlier, and I started painting. Okay, so these are like, I think these were, well, you can see the numbers underneath. They're like flashcards for kids. Most of these are flashcards. You could use a deck of playing cards, whatever. But here's the thing. I started collecting all kinds of things like this, and then they would just sit in a drawer. These are flashcards with words on them. And then I think these were some oversized playing cards. I only had 2 of them. But look at what a great size. I bet that's like 5 by 7. So, and it's a great sturdy substrate. So I basically started painting. First I put gesso on both sides, and then I just used up some leftover paint because I didn't really care what it looked like in the beginning, because I wasn't really sure what I was going to do with them. I'm still not 100% sure. And then I did the same with these. So I gessoed both sides, and then I just started painting them. Now, obviously, I wouldn't need to do both sides if I was only going to work on one side. I just wasn't sure. I wasn't sure what I was going to do. So that way, both sides would be ready to go. The other thing about gessoing both sides is that I think, let's say, for example, I use this, because this would be the perfect size to do a collage or paint or do something on it, and then adhere it to a greeting card because it's already the perfect size. And what a great substrate this is. And I think it would adhere better with the gesso on the back. It wouldn't have to necessarily be painted on both sides, but the gesso is going to help that slippery surface, that plasticky surface, adhere to something better. So after I did all these, I thought, oh my gosh, I should show you guys what I'm doing as I'm cleaning this stuff out. So this is where I'm at so far. I'm not sure what my plan is. I have some ideas, but I'm just not really sure. So as I proceed, I will hopefully share that. I will share that with you guys, what I end up doing with this. But I wanted to show you the other items I was going to start gessoing before I gessoed them so you could see, and it might spur you on to some ideas. So I'm sure you guys have all seen these little index, and they are so awesome because, well, these I love because they're kind of more vintagey colors. I love those colors. They're very soft and muted. But the cool thing about them is that it's a very sturdy substrate, and this is a little smaller than I would normally work, but I could totally see adhering collage papers. I don't know. I almost envision using, again, these could be adhered to a greeting card. They could, I don't know. I have some ideas, but until I prep them, and I may do this in clear gesso, or at least some of them, so that I can have the color come through. Whereas if I did it in white, it would obviously be semi-muted. So, and obviously I could use either side. I do like having the letters and the months and the numbers stick out. So I thought that was fun. I have I'm always collecting fabrics, particularly if they have a kind of a linen-y or a textured feel to them. And I guess I should grab that real quick. I do paint on fabric. And so I gesso first, and then I paint on different fabrics. And I have not used, this one's gessoed, and it makes it very sturdy, a really nice substrate. So I'm gonna do that. This falls into the category only because I have a ton of it, and it's like, okay, I really need to make some decisions. Here's the thing, you can't keep everything. And honestly, sometimes I feel like I don't wanna have that scarcity mentality where it's like, oh, I'll never have it again, I'll never be able to find it. Well, the bottom line is, if you're not using it and you don't even know where it is or what you have, you're not using it and it's a waste anyway. So get rid of those things. Then I found these, which I think are super cool too. They obviously were some kind of file folder system. They've got some kind of different embossing. I think they're a really cool size. I bet it's like 10 8x8 or something. So I thought I would gesso these. These are interesting in that I'm not really sure what they were, but I often pick up, when I'm at the thrift store, things that are in boxes like for school supplies, or I don't know if this was to test eyesight. I don't have any idea. I guess it's to see the word watermelon in there. I'm not really sure. But again, it's a very sturdy substrate, but it has a shiny texture to it. So it would need gesso, either clear gesso or white gesso or whatever, black, gray, whatever you wanted. Now, these are kind of fun. I'm not really sure what these were for, other than, I don't know. They look like, I think they were in some, it says understanding our feelings. So maybe it was photos to help kids identify with what they're feeling or whatever. What I thought would be fun with this, and I don't know if I'll do it, is to put clear gesso over it and then to paint over the top lights and darks with these faces, because there's a number of them. And I think that could be really fun. And so we'll see what I end up doing. But again, they've been in my drawer for years, and it's time to make a decision or get rid of them. Now, here's another interesting thing. You know, back in the day, phone calls, maybe people still do this in offices, I don't know. They would write out who it was, and there'd be a copy on one side. And anyway, I just didn't know what to, I'm kind of perplexed at what to do with this. So I still may just throw this in the donation bin. Somebody else can come up with a really fun project for it. But I may also, it's thin collage paper. I don't particularly, can't even talk. I do not particularly care for the yellow or the blue, I don't know. So, but I obviously could paint over it. It's very thin. So I guess I could use the back side. If you guys got any ideas, let me know. I could use the back side as collage, put stuff on it. That might be the way to go. I'm not a big fan of the yellow, but anyway, there's obviously something that needs to be done. I either need to use it or get rid of it. Same with all of this. So as I'm going through things, I'm making some decisions, and I would just recommend that you guys also consider going through your stash. And sometimes you have so much that it's overwhelming and then you don't use any of it. And it's like, or I'm like me, I'm saving it for, oh, there'll be a better occasion to use it, or I got to save it for, no, there's no more saving. So anyway, I'm going to show you kind of how I would go about, it's pretty straightforward, but I'll just in fast forward gesso a few of these so you can kind of get the idea. And then as throughout the next, I don't know, few months or so, if I use them, I will try to remember to do a video or at least show you at some point what I end up doing with them. Sometimes what happens is things get gessoed and then they also go to another pile and they sit over there until I can figure out what to do. So, but at the same time, I have to wean things down so that they can fit into some drawers. It just can't be piled up everywhere. And I cannot continue to keep supplies that I'm not using. That just doesn't make sense. So anyway, that's what I'm going to say for now. Thanks for watching. And I'm going to show you some of these that I gesso. And I hope you'll go through your stash and sort and purge and make some decisions, because I know it's not easy, but it's sometimes we creatives, we can tend to gather and then we tend to set aside and we never actually use it. So anyway, I hope, again, thanks for watching and I will see you next time.